Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the MSS Business Transformation Institute's webinar entitled Becoming an Intelligent Organization is Easier Than You Think. I'm Lori Alleman, and today I'm here with our presenter, MSS Data Scientist Dr. Lou Howe. Dr. Howe is a data scientist with comprehensive experience in data analytics and complex data visualization. She's conducted data-driven analysis to find and develop solutions for clients in both the federal and public sectors. And Dr. Howe earned both her PhD and MS degrees in transportation engineering from the University of California at Berkeley. Before I hand it over to Dr. Howe, a reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the MSS BTI website to stream and download. Welcome, Dr. Howe. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. I'm very excited to be here to share some of my insights on this really heated topic, data and analytics, and becoming an intelligent organization. So here's a little agenda for today. First, we're going to just talk about what is analytics, what is an intelligent organization, and what is really the relationship between these two. And then we're going to do a MythBusters session where we're going to identify some common pitfalls on your journey to becoming an intelligent organization. What's the myth versus what's the reality? And lastly, we're going to talk about why does it matter to me. So some of the benefits of analytics and intelligence, and we're going to conclude with a case study. So let's jump right into what is analytics. By definition, analytics is a discipline that applies logic and mathematics to data to provide insights for making better decisions. So in a word, analytics is not about storing or collecting of the data. That's more of a data engineer job, but it is really about using the data, using it to get insights, to derive action items, and therefore to get business values out of your data. And all that kind of work is more in the realm of the role of a data scientist. So that's analytics. What about intelligent organization? What it means to become an intelligent organization? So this Jack Welch quote, I think, explains it perfectly. So being intelligent as an organization is really about the organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action and do it rapidly, and that is ultimately becoming the organization's competitive advantage at its core. Putting this definition in the modern business context, I think it overlays a lot with analytics. So putting these two concepts together, being intelligent really means learning from your data, making sense of your data, and then apply all that learning into actions and then into values. So in this way, you become intelligent and you stay competitive. So seeing, and one other thing I want to point out here is seeing the big names like GE or other big names like Google and Facebook might make you think that analytics and being intelligent organization is all just a game for the industry giants or the tech-savvy big names. But that's not really the case. It's not just for a game for the big firms. Really, there's a solution for everyone, for every company of every size. There's a solution to become intelligent and to be better at what the company is doing. To summarize, putting analytics and becoming intelligent together, in a word, intelligent organization has the ability to constantly learn from the raw data it has and generating value out of it constantly. At its core, the critical engine keeping this whole process going, the whole data to value process going, is the analytics engine. So what is happening really in this black box here? Let's take a closer look. So first, let's revisit the definition of analytics. There are three key components in this definition, and they together comprise analytics. And that is using, you have to use your data. That means you identify or acquire or combine or manage in some way the necessary data you need. And then it's about using that data to provide insights where you discover hidden patterns and derive business insights from the data. And finally, all this is for the purpose of making better decisions or taking specific action. And from doing this with analytics, we arrive at your value. So in a word, endless rows of raw data here won't help with your business much, but you have to derive smart insights and turn them into right actions in order to see value. So why now? Data and analytics have been around for a very long time, but why all the heated discussions now? That is because never before in the history really have we had so much data and so much processing power to analyze the data. So on the data side, we're just having more and more data, as well as new sources of data. 90% of all the data in the world has been generated over the last 2 years. And on the other hand, not only we have the data, but we have the increasing processing power to handle the data and really to analyze that data at the most granular level. And that means two things. First, the potential business benefits when these two combined, what they can generate is tremendous. So using data and analytics really can bring you value. And the second is really, it is crucial for you as an organization to become intelligent about your data. Because with everyone doing it, you really have to root this insight-driven or analytics-driven strategy within your organization. It's almost like a must-have for your organization in order to stay competitive or even relevant in the near future. So with that said, how do we become an intelligent organization? It is actually an integrated journey. It's not just about hiring a few data scientists and buy some expensive analytics tools. It is very integrated journey that includes a lot of moving parts within your organization. That includes the strategy you're deploying and some assessment of where you are at the current journey, what kind of talent you need, what structure of the analytics team or the governance of your analytics, and also the approach that how you're going to use data, how you're going to use analytics. And all these together will lead to a successful destination with becoming truly an intelligent organization. And of course, this journey is not a journey without pitfalls and road bumps. So what are some of the pitfalls you can run into along the journey? So we'll explore a few common ones in our next section. So we'll talk about some of the popular myths that's out there and explain why it is a myth and what is the reality. The first one is a really common one that we hear a lot. People say, oh, my organization is already using analytics. You know, we summarize our data in the reports or dashboards, and we gain some insights on our past performance. So we have analytics. That is not the case. So the reality is analytics is not just about looking back at the past. It's about making you more confident about the future, helping you better prepare for the future. by increasing your options in the present. So like when you're driving, using analytics is not just looking into the rearview mirror where you look back at what happened behind you, but it's more about looking at a windshield view where you look into the future, gather information about what's coming up on the road, and be well prepared for it. So this graph explains a lot. So strategic is called strategic intelligence, and it's all about timing. So say if we have an event occurring here, and this triangle here is the range of options that we have. So before the event occurs, if we have some information and we use that information, do some analysis, and make a decision of what we're going to do, the range of options for us to take action, our response range is much wider. And on the contrary, if we don't get any information until after the event happens, our range of options really begins to narrow very quickly. Imagine you're driving again. So like this event, maybe a car is aggressively changing lane ahead of you. And if you look into your windshield view and you sort of see some signs of that happening, like it's speeding up or it's blinkers on, so that's the data you have, and you make some judgments using your analytics within your brain, and you think, oh, this car is going to change lane. So then you have more options to deal with it. You can either slow down or speed up based on your personality, and you can also change the other lanes to avoid this aggressive driver. Then if you don't have that intelligence, if you only get to respond after you see the car is changing lane, that makes you range of options much narrower, and you have to react with much less confidence, or you're just in the firefighting mode dealing with the event that's already happened. So all this information that you gathered ahead of time and you analyze to help prepare you to take actions, these are the value added through data and through the predictive analytics that we performed on that data. So that's our first myth. And our next myth is for our analytics effort, I need to start with data infrastructure. Another very common myth. We actually hear a lot of similar comments like, we need to build our database first, or a better timing for using analytics is until after we build our big data warehouse project, or something like we need to collect all the data we have and then put them through analytics to see what kind of results just bubble up. And along with those comments, we are hearing real frustrations out there as well. We have seen many senior leaders complain that they have been spending piles of money on their data infrastructure projects and find themselves sitting on more and more data, but really seeing no value out of that data, or not knowing how to derive any value out of there. So the question is really, why are we stuck in forever data collection and manipulation and not seeing any value? So this is a process in a lot of people's head about how you go from data to insights. And as it might seem like a smooth progression, it's really not. We're seeing it's more like a bottleneck situation here, with a lot of people in the data collection and storing process where only a few can pass through to arrive at insights. And those getting insights from the data is what we call a truly intelligent organization. And from the insights, they get values fairly quickly. So what is the secret for these few intelligent organizations making that leap from data, from all kinds of efforts around data, to using the data to generate insight? It is actually a twist on how to start your analytics project. In a word, you shouldn't you should have data should be at your service, within your control, to serve your purpose, but really not letting data to drive the entire process from the start. So here the myth is busted, and the reality is we think every analytics project should really start with asking the right business question. Remember earlier we talked about how you get from data to insights to value, and well, to start this process, you need a direction for what kind of data that you need to be analyzed, rather than just starting with all the available data you have. That's more like boiling the whole ocean. So really there's a step 0 before all these, and that is to start with a question, to identify a key business question to be answered with the data, a question that's tightly tied to your business drivers or your largest business pain points. And this is what I call the question to value approach, starting with a question that sets you on the right track all the way to value and all the way to becoming an intelligent organization. And here's our third myth, which is analytics comes down to having the technology. Again, very common one. It is common to think analytics is just about having the right technology and the right technical talent. And when you have those, you're ready. The insights and the business values will just come out naturally. That is really not the case. Well, the reality is, besides technology, your business competency and the culture, all these three are necessary factors for your analytics maturity and for a successful analytics project. So to get ready for analytics to generate value to you, you need all three of these. And we talked a lot about technology, so that's your data infrastructure, data quality, and your technical talent. Business competency is really about having the right leadership, having the right business decision-making process to implement analytics. It's about asking the right business question, like we talked about, and also interpreting the analytical results accurately to put them into your business context. And finally, the culture. Culture is something often involves motivating the using of the analytic results or fostering the willingness to implement the action items. And it is very critical because values are not seen until recommendations are implemented into your organization's day-to-day operations. And that's often by employees way beyond your analytical talents. So to summarize here, when you ask a question, am I ready, or is my organization ready for analytics? Think beyond the technology. Think all the three components: technology, business, and culture, and always ensure a balanced growth among the three. And that brings us to our final myth. analytics is a set it and forget it. This is also very common. Many people understand analytics as some operational routine that once it's set up, you can just leave it running. Data will keep flowing through the system and keep generating value for you. Well, that's not true. The reality is your analytics plan should always be revisited and adjusted to match the changes, many changes ahead, and they're both internal and external changes. Let's first talk about internal changes. As we talked about, analytics is meant to help with your organization's decision-making process at a very high level. So as it grows, its capability changes, and also as your organization grows, your needs and the priorities for analytics will also change. The old analysis you're doing, the questions it's answering, the approach it's using, they may not be useful or even relevant anymore as your organization grows. So internally, analytics should always be adjusted to match the overall strategy development plan of your organization. And that's internal. And then looking externally, there are also all kinds of changes happening, and they are happening rapidly. First, let's talk about technology. And the analytics technology landscape is just ever changing. And we've seen a lot of market disruptions, and there are disruptions coming up soon. So during the past 10 years, we've already shifted from a really like a coding-based platforms where you do a lot of coding to analyze data to a visual-based platforms. That's where the modern business intelligence comes in and making it more business user-friendly. And in the next 2 to 5 years, there are many predictions going on about this key trend, augmented analytics, where is the power of artificial intelligence and the machine learning will be leveraged into advanced analytics and making it much more powerful and more usable for business users. So 10 years ago, we struggled to find any machine learning enabled business analytics applications. And in 10 years, we'll probably struggle to find any that don't do that. So this is just one example of a technology trend, and there are many others on the way as well. So these should all be taken into consideration when you are monitoring and adjusting your analytics strategy, just to make sure your organization is keeping up with all the technology trends. The other external factor that's ever changing is technical talent. So a few years ago, the role of data scientist didn't even really exist. And even today, the definition and the responsibilities of a data scientist is rapidly evolving and leading to new possibilities for analytics roles within your organization. So that's definitely something to always keep an eye on. One key trend that we observe in the talent is that the boundary between technical and business talent is getting blurred. So it's important to find your own mix of the right balance of technical and business talent. So we have the analytics skill at the bottom, where your typical data scientist resides, and we have these business skills up here, and these two skills are really getting merged. So as a business analyst within your organization doing basic analysis for you, if that's incorporated with some analytics skill, we have a citizen data scientist where you do analytics for your day-to-day job on a daily basis. And even though there aren't that many today, Gartner predicts that in less than 5 years, the number of citizen data scientists will grow 5 times faster than those highly skilled data scientist roles. And on the other side, as a business leader, you also need some analytic skills to understand the data and understand the insights. And that is a role called analytics translator, where you really have those business leader skills, but some knowledge of analytics as well. Though it's almost non-existent today, in less than 10 years, McKinsey is predicting that the demand for analytics translators in the US alone may reach 2 to 4 million. So these are really key signs to look out for when we are talking about technical talent, and definitely always adjust your analytics plan to make sure that they match all these changes. Okay, so we've covered what it is and busted some myths, and now is our final section. We talk about why does it matter to me. So is data and analytics really working, and why should I care? Okay, so let's talk about it. Is there a value really from analytics? Well, the short answer is yes. According to Harvard Business Review, companies are seeing 5 to 6% consistently higher productivity rate and profitability when they are injecting big data and analytics. And also, we have all these numbers reported as the gain from analytics from different aspects. So we're seeing increase in productivity, a higher customer retention, also just overall a higher profit margin per customer, and just overall better performance. Besides all that, advanced analytics users are also just gaining more insights from their customers. That's one big use case there, because customers today are just becoming more and more demanding and expecting personalized services. And using analytics do make a difference there in telling what the customer really needs and what they'll respond to certain marketing efforts. Not just facing the customer, but also analytics can help on the operational side of the business, where it is able to identify inefficiencies in the organization and provide data-driven solutions. So in a word, insights from advanced analytics are really disrupting everything from your customer to your internal operations to just everything. And as we talked before, it's not just a game for industry giants or unicorns. It's for everyone. And according to a Gartner survey on the MSE, the mid-sized enterprises, more than 65% of the companies interviewed reported they get better business outcomes by increasing their analytics and BI adoption. And as we talk about, in fact, there is an analytics solution for everyone. You're not competing with those big names or some just very techy companies. You're not competing with them on the same playground. It is really all about finding a solution that best suits your own business model and answer your own business question to improve upon yourself. So if it has to be a competition, it's a competition with yourself. You're evolving into a more intelligent, more analytics-driven version of yourself, and you're not losing any competition with anyone else. So having understood that, looking within the organization, where does analytics have an impact? Well, just everywhere, and it impacts everything. Having a great analytics approach really penetrates into all the key aspects of an organization and will, on its own, keep finding new ways to help. These are all the aspects that it is able to provide solutions. We've covered customers, which is definitely a big part, but it easily transferred into helping with your marketing effort and also helping with your strategy and vision and the growth and expansion plan. And looking inside, it also helps with increasing operational efficiency, helping your performance, and also even employee engagement or HR efforts. So really, it impacts everything. What about industries? What kind of industry are being impacted? Well, again, the answer is almost every industry on the face of Earth. And again, whether it's like has a heavy customer-facing nature, like a retail, hospitality, or if you have a heavy operational side of the business, like you have an infrastructure or supply chain to manage, data and analytics is in each and every one of this industry to providing solutions. So having understand all that benefits, finally we are seeing a case study where the benefits are becoming real. Through this one, we'll see how data and analytics are leveraged to help this company to answer a specific question and help derive value from the data for the company. So our company is an auto aftermarket company where its business model is, it has a very large marketing spend across their digital channels. So they do a lot of marketing online, but none of the purchases are happening online. All their revenue happens in store. So they're seeing this enormous gap between their online advertising and offline purchase. So they feel their online advertising efforts have little directions or guidance as to what are effective and what are not. So the question they have really is, what kind of digital touch points happening online? What kind of marketing, what kind of online activities are likely to lead to which offline purchases, and by how much? By understanding this, they are better equipped to develop their online marketing campaign or efforts. So with that question in mind, the data they need is really to merge in-store transaction data with online digital data by a certain way of merging the data. And through doing a analysis on the data, in this case, a purchase intent analysis specifically, they quickly get to some insights and business outcomes. So what they find a few actions to pay attention to include when the customers sign up for an email newsletter or they're applying for new financing or credit cards. That's highly predictive of a big service or big purchase happening in the near future. So they developed a strategy to target these customers more, approach them more, to have them come to their business. And by doing that, by utilizing that insights from data and taking actions, they saw a 67% lift in their overall customer lifetime value, and they did it fairly quickly. So this is a real case of how a business is able to start with a question using pulling the right data applying analytics to derive insights and seeing great business values out of it. So as we getting to the end, you are probably getting excited all about analytics and just having this question, I am ready, and how do I get started? Well, our recommendations is always think big and start small. So thinking big really means that you always think of the overarching analytics strategy, the approach you're taking, the business process, and always balancing technology and culture and making them align to your overall strategy. So that's all thinking big. If you want to start small. Remember that analytics is not about entire transformation of your data structure, but it's about understanding and using the data to create value, and often to start in a quick and dirty way. So I really start with a question. And pull a small data set, do some quick analysis to see results quickly and prove the value. And from there, your analytics is seeded and will keep growing. And most importantly, don't wait. Just start small and start today. So that's pretty much our webinar today. To summarize quickly, today we talked about first what it means to become intelligent. It's about using data to get insights and to taking better actions. And we cleared some myths along the way. So we know that it's really about the future and always start with a business question. And analytics is not just about technology, and you need to look out for changes and make adjustments. And finally, the benefits, we saw a lot of real values realized across different industries and for companies of all sizes. And our parting words is really to start small and start today. So that concludes our webinar today. If you're interested to learn more, we have great resources on our MSS BTI website. There are a good collection of articles about analytics and many other topics that you could feel free to explore. And we are also hosting this workshop in October where we'll all just come in for a much deeper discussion around how to become an intelligent organization. And I'm very excited about the workshop. It will be very interactive, hands-on, and just a lot of fun. So check it out on our website and stay tuned. With that, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions. And if you have more questions or need more information, here's our contact information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. That was excellent. Great information. And I'm still reeling from the statistic that you gave us that 90% of the available data has been generated in the last 2 years. That is an amazing idea to deal with. That's huge. While you were presenting, we did have a couple of questions that popped up on the screen that I was monitoring. One of them is, you talked about how it's crucial to start with a question, but how do you come up with the right question to ask?
Oh, that's a great question, and it is actually takes a bit more effort probably than you think. To me, it's essentially a collaborative process to come up with the right question to ask, and that's requiring both your analytics inputs from both your analytics team and your business team. So your business team should be driving the process with their understanding of the business model. They'll be able to identify the opportunities for further improvement or identify some of the pressing issues that needs to be solved soon within the organization. So from there, they might compile a list of questions to ask. And then that's when your analytics team comes in, and they're here to provide insights on whether the question is suitable for analytics, whether it's a good candidate to be modeled. Some questions are, some questions simply aren't suitable for mathematical modeling. So they will just make the decision and pick the right ones. So with this collaboration, we'll be able to reach a question that's critical to the business and is also a good candidate for analytics. And another thing is, really when you're doing this and keep asking good questions, soon you will reach a point where you have a long list of questions waiting to be answered. At this point, it will be a good exercise to prioritize these questions and really manage your supply and demand for analytics. How to prioritize these largely depends on your business judgment, but to start, you should trade off factors like the value of the question, the feasibility, and the resources required to answer the question.
Great. That's great information. Sounds like it's a combination or a partnership between the business side of the house and the data science side of the house. One more thing that we had pop up. Can you talk more about why culture makes a big difference in analytics?
Yeah, definitely. So to many people, culture is something that you think, oh, I'll get to that after the real work is done. But culture is a real thing, and it should be taken care of throughout the development of your analytical effort, or really any effort you have. That is because the key component for an initiative to succeed is communication and taking actions, and those more often involves people much beyond your technical team, who does not necessarily speak the technical language. So fostering the culture really means having the right way to communicate to them and build their confidence, build their willingness to act upon the insights.
Great. I think we have time for one more question. What are best practices for data collection? That's a great question.
That's a great question. I think it's really differs. Again, we talk about how different companies of different sizes might take the journey differently. So how you collect data is definitely different. You have different resources to leverage. And to start, I would say always look internally first, looking at what kind of data we have available, what kind of format are they in, and think about how to, if we have the data but it's in a messy form, how do we transform that data into useful formats? And only after looking internally, looking at what data you already have, then you start thinking, oh, what kind of data that we might need that we're not collecting, and that's when you start looking for collecting new data from either within your operation or even look for external. There are all kinds of businesses out there that sell data as a product, and that's also something to explore externally as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing your deep knowledge and expertise of data analytics. We appreciate that.
Sure.
And before we sign off, I just want to remind everybody to please visit MSSBTI.com, where you can get more information and register for Dr. Howe's workshop October 18th and 19th. And with that, I will bid you a good day.